Um, when you're creating a painting, an art piece, you want to think, what is it that captured your eye about the piece? What caused you to stop and take the photograph, or what caused you to stop at the side of the road and pull out your sketchbook? And for me, this scene here at the farmhouse, it was the sunlight on the white side of that house that really struck me, plus a little bit of that orange tree. And I thought, wow, it probably is the orange that I liked the most because it was fall. So for me, if you take a piece of paper and you divide it in thirds, like a tic-tac-toe board, your focal point generally should be in one of these 3 places or 4 places. It doesn't have to be in all of them. That would be kind of chaotic. So for me, my orange is right here. It's in that lower right focal point. And I've got the car down here. I added that, or it was in the picture a little bit, but I made it maybe a little bit bigger. And so that adds a little bit of detail that might bring the eye of my viewer down into this area. Now, remember, whatever you do, it's your painting. You can do whatever you want. If you choose to take out a car, that's fine. If you choose to put a mailbox down here instead of a sign, by all means. You will see that I have added a little piece of mountain up here because I didn't want your eye, the viewer's eye, to run around and fall off the edge. And this line brings me back toward this focal point. The road brings me around, toward the focal point. This down here, this was sort of a mess of, I think it was a pile of slate. And it looked awful. It looked like garbage on the side of the road. I decided to make it a pile of wood, again, with a pile stepping down so that your eye bounces like a waterfall down here, and then again, leads up into here. So there are a lot of, and I can tell you right now, I definitely moved the mountain higher than the photograph, so that the mountain is, here we go, is above the trees. I just thought when I looked at the photograph, there was just too much sky. It was easily, not half, but certainly at least a third of the picture was just plain old blue sky. And I thought these shapes were a little more interesting. So in a way, I zoomed in, reduced my sky to allow myself to get more stuff in here. The painting is yours. Whatever colors I mix, I will tell you what colors I'm mixing. But if you choose to use a slightly different yellow or a slightly different green, or you want to make a tree a reddish, what are those called? Like a red maple instead of a yellow maple, by all means, that's fine. And if you want to leave out the wood pile, that's all good too. So I'm going to spend, I think, about 7 minutes doing the sky and trees around the house, and we'll see how we do at that point. Okay, so I'm going to take now. So Bill, I've got a flat kind of. This is one of the biggest brushes I have. It's a flat swirl brush, and I'm just going to coat the whole. Darn it! That little bit of water had some yellow in it, but that's all right. Okay. So I'm going to coat the whole top. Now, don't try to paint while I'm painting, because if you look away, you're going to miss something. So just watch, and then I will stop after 7 minutes or 8 minutes, and then you will do the same areas that I just did on your paper, and you'll catch up to me. I'll take a coffee break or something while you're painting. What am I doing? I'm going to go right down. I'm going to go around the car for now. Okay.
And it's Barbara here. Is it possible to zoom onto what your paper, because as far as I can see, maybe it's my own fault. It's like a gallery of everybody and your
Okay,
paper is
no,
one.
good. Yeah.
No, you're actually
Okay, now-
She needs to go into, she needs to pin. your-
Okay, yeah, pin the picture with the drawing on it, Barb.
I got it. Thanks.
Yeah, good question, though. These, we got you. I don't want someone sitting at home frustrated. Now, this roof is dark, so, oh my gosh, I'm gonna take this color, right? I'm gonna go, you're gonna say, what's he doing? I'm just putting water over this dark side of the house. I'm not doing the light side. I've done down to here, over to here, around there we go. And so there we go. All right. Now I'm going to take this. Whoops. If I bump these cameras with my head, that's
Not good.
not good. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of raw sienna, which is kind of a brownish yellow. My students used to call it baby poop yellow. And I'm just throwing this up here. Now, I'm going to go to the alizarin crimson, which is a reddish, it's my cool red. And if you're looking at the palette, you'll see me splashing around them. Again, splash, splash. And this is like, what the heck is he doing? He's got red all over the place. And now I'm going to clean off this big mess here. Way too much color. And I'm going to take a mixture of cerulean blue and the ultramarine. Make a pretty good wet. Okay, let's start painting away. Now this blue, because the paper is slightly tilted, the color is going to start creeping as creeping downwards. All right, I'm still in the picture, and I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to go right on down. And I'm going to paint the shadow side of the house with this bluish. I'm going to paint the whole darn side of the house. A little, there's that dormer. You notice I put in one dormer, but I left out the other one. What's that?
Struggle with the dormers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. So, in the first few minutes, I've got.
Nick, your paper's not wet.
This is soaking wet.
Did you wet it the whole thing before?
That's what I did right before I even put some color on.
Oh, I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
So keep. Okay, now Donna just asked if my paper is wet. The top half is wet. Now I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to paint the bottom half where my green areas are. So quite honestly, I have a road there. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go around that. I'm going to go through that stupid thing. Okay, so I just put more stuff there, and I'm going to, sorry to get too far ahead of you, but I'm going to get a little bit of New Gamboge yellow and cerulean blue. And I'm going to throw the green. So quite honestly, in the first 9 minutes, I probably will have covered. Refresh it a little bit more yellow. I can see it's getting a little bit insipid down here. I'm going to leave a little spot for a little drive in there. Little green down here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a road. A little driveway coming in.
And you pretty much wet everything when you're doing?
Now everything except the road is done.
When do we get to start?
Then I think I'm going to stop now and let you guys start. Yeah, I'll do one more thing, just because the only part that's white, I'm going to take some yellow ochre, which is that brownish yellow, and I'm just going to because this wood pile is going to be darker than everything else. So if I just put a light color, I'm just establishing that it's going to be there. I'm leaving a little bit of light on the top of there. Okay, I'm done. I'll let you guys, now you guys can paint. So start with this water in the sky, water across the top. Bring the water all the way down to the line of the grasses. Then add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, then throw some blue up at the top and let all things merge.
Did you pretty much wet all of your board?
Not all at once, but I wet the top 2/3 first,
Okay. Did you do the house? Yeah.
and I went right through the house.
It's always good to be paying attention. Never got the mind of a chicken. I would blink my eyes, it's a whole new world.
Okay, yeah, so that was. And please unmute yourselves and throw out questions like, what color was that? Or how do I do this?
So you started with the yellow, where was this wet?
It was sort of, the yellow was right at the horizon line, right where the mountains and the sky hit. And so I wanted that feeling of sort of a morning sky. I added a little bit of the red above the yellow, and then the blue kind of seeped down. And right now I'm going to change my water while you guys are painting, because my water is very yellow and it's not very clean.
Ned, what blue did you use?
Come again, what was that question, Diana?
Which blue was it that you used?
I use cerulean and ultramarine, a kind of a combination.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's sort of my opinion. If you use a color straight out of the tube, which you're certainly welcome to do, you're using a color that some chemist made in a factory. If you mix it with something else, then the color becomes your own. So I'm all for adjusting colors just slightly, so you're not using stuff straight out of the tube.
Not only that, he's got great color mixing videos
So,
coming up.
Okay.
Hey Ned, what did you use for the green?
For the what?
For the grass?
I use a new gamboge yellow, or it could be a cadmium yellow or something, and I use cerulean in this case.
Okay.
with that same blue here?
Just take that blue, yep, right through there, right up to that edge of the house. And leave a little bit of white on the, the front part of the doors. Good.
You didn't put any yellow over here. You got some yellow. Oh, why am I looking like that? I shouldn't. Okay.
And go right into this house. Because that, if you look at Yeah, watch out. This is the white one.
Ned, I have a question. My colors are running, down. Should I stop that?
No, that's the magic of watercolor. That's the best part.
Okay. It's like, oh no, they're running. Okay. All right. I'll leave them be.
Because usually, Diana, where it runs, we're eventually going to put a darker color over something. So if you get yellow running into another area, that's okay. No big deal. You do want to try to preserve the white side of the house, though. That's sort of the star player here.
I heard the words resist the urge to touch up. I think that was for me. What were you talking about?
Yeah, if you have your sky and it looks good, don't go back and kind of just noodle at it. Just leave it.
Okay. Okay, I will leave it. Oh, that's hard.
Ned, what did you use to make the green?
I used a New Gamboge yellow and cerulean blue, but it could be a cadmium yellow too if you wanted to.
That's someone who took the class last year?
That's Ellen.
Okay, then the answer is same as last year.
Same as last year. So what do I have? I got 2 lefty painters in the class, Kirk and you and Jennifer here. Anyone else a lefty?
I am Kathleen Davis.
Okay, Kathleen, good. So I got 3 out of 18 are left-handed.
What does that mean? We're right-brained?
Right, exactly.
National average?
We can hold our pencil. We can hold our pencil like the way we write.
I don't know about that. I'm kind of more of the crook around the top.
Okay, how are we doing? You should have, don't keep painting just because I'm giving you this time. If you've gotten 3/4 of the thing wet and with some color, quit. Leave it. Okay, I'm about ready to start in on some of these trees. But before I do that, I'm a little annoyed. I should have, while I had that pinky color in the sky, I should have done it down here in the road. I've decided, you can make, the roads can be any color. If you want to make it a sandy road, then you can use a yellowy color or a raw sienna color. If you want it to be asphalt, it usually comes out, you don't want to make it black, but maybe a purpley color. Because I want this to feel like a warm, hot road, like it's a warm autumn day. I'm going to throw in, I put too much water on here. I'm going to throw a little alizarin crimson, maybe with raw sienna. Ooh. Okay. It's still going to be light. And this is nothing like the photograph. You see, I've got this reddish, pinkish color, and I kind of like it because it contrasts with the green, which is the opposite color of red. And it gives me sort of this jewel-like feeling with contrasting colors popping. All right, I'm gonna. Watercolor painting is like golf. The more strokes you take, the worse you're doing. All right, Kirk?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave this road now. I'm going to go ahead and do some trees. And now I want to go a little bit easier on the water, a little bit less water on my brush or in the palette, because I don't want this stuff to be dribbling all over. Though if a tree dribbles into the roof, that's no big deal because the roof will be a darker color and I can cover over that green dribble or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of Aureolin, which is my lightest green. If you want to pin the palette, you'll see it. And cerulean. And I'm going to plop this in up here. I'm aware that the sunlight is coming from the right, hitting the side of that house and going across. So if I have a tree up here, it's going to have more yellow on the right side, the sunny side, and maybe a little bit more bluish color or a little darker on the other. But I didn't do very well on that one. Okay. Now, raw sienna. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of raw sienna. Now, these tree shapes, you watch me kind of dab here. I don't want to make the trees look like lollipops, so I'm not going to make them rounded so much. I am going around that chimney just for now. I'm using a little bit of raw sienna and alizarin crimson. The chimney looks too big. Okay, coming across here. And now I'm going to go back. Raw sienna and ultramarine blue. There's an interesting green, isn't it? Raw. Saving that white or the light side of that dormer. Okay, raw sienna is my yellowy color. I'm trying to see, I'm not just going green, green, green. I got a kind of reddish, like it's a sugar maple here, a green one over there. This one is going to help me add a little bit more. Yeah. I'm just putting it on wet. I didn't wet the area. No. Good question, Judy.
So what was the one next to the first green tree? What was that color?
The first green tree?
The second one, the second.
The second one was raw sienna and a little bit of alizarin crimson.
Oh, okay.
Now, Judy, you're starting to paint while I'm doing it, so you're going to get goofed up here. Okay, I've got to do. I'm going to do a new Gamboge yellow, which is a really bright yellow with cerulean blue. Okay. Now the yellow I'm putting on, right? See how greenish yellow that is? And as it gets toward the house, I'm going to add a little more blue to it. So it gets a little bit darker. I'm going to preserve that edge of the house. That white edge is really critical. All right. Now I do see this green underneath the porch.
You're looking through the window, it took me a while to figure out, looking through the porch window, and actually seeing.
Yeah, you're looking.
outside behind it.
Yes.
Going up the hill, which took me for a minute to figure it out.
Yep. Okay, now I'm coming up to my favorite part is the orange. The orange tree, which is when I got to find a clean spot on my palette. I'm going to use the Aureolin, which is my lightest yellow, and a little bit of permanent red or Windsor red, not the alizarin. It's more of a fire engine red. And here we go. There it goes. Ah, it's pretty good. So I put a little color on there. If I like it, I keep going. If I don't like it, I adjust it. Okay, here. Boom, 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 boom. So this orange is going around. This is looking too much like a baked potato. I'm going to stick a few little flicks out. So it's more of a raggedy edge. You see what I mean? I can fix this later too. Orange, orange, orange. Now I'm going to just touch the shadow sides of these trees. You see the orange tree there. I'm going to add a little bit of blue, maybe an ultramarine blue to it, to get this part of the orange to be darker. I'm going to add a little bit of cerulean to make this side of this tree darker.
You said paint gets darker as it dries?
Paint, no, it lightens up.
It lightens up.
Yeah, yep. So if you think the color is perfect, you're too light. Adding a little bit of dark color in here. And maybe a little bit of, while this color is still wet, I'm just adding a little bit more. Adding the darks while it's wet, so we're not getting too many real hard edges, but I am getting a sort of spotty look here.
So Ned, at least for the moment, you're ignoring the fact that some of those trees have lost their leaves.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into making all those little sticks. I just, yeah, good point. I wanted to keep these sort of snow cones of trees locking in the house. Okay, so I'm going to pause there, let you guys work a little bit on trees, and then we'll get into the distant hillsides and things like that next. So that was probably about 5 minutes of trees. I'll give you 5 or 10 minutes. Well, my paper is bigger, so this is called like a 12. So I'm using this. So start on the light side of the tree first, the pale part of the color, and then add a little bit more color into the puddle on your page and move toward the dark.
Ned, you know how in the past I've had trouble going too heavy-handed?
Mm-hmm.
And now I think I've gone the other. You said if it looks about right when you're putting it on. Yeah, it's looking pretty light now. Can you go back and add more?
Yeah. Or add just a little bit more on the shadow side and maybe leave the light side fairly pale.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Then how'd you make the red rusty colors?
Raw sienna and alizarin crimson. And your water is, yeah. Let's.
And what did you add to make that dark umber-like area next to the house?
Let's see, dark umber area next to the house. I just add a little bit of blue into it, the ultramarine blue. If you're hitting a pause moment, I really encourage you to change your water. Greens always make water get really, really dirty. Reds and greens make it like mud. And you certainly want to be wiping your palette clean as we move from one section to another.
Ned, what colors did you use for the road?
I use a little bit of alizarin crimson and a raw sienna.
Okay.
Quite honestly, Suzanne and everybody, I think I'm going to use a purpley color in the mountains. So I didn't want a kind of purpley color in the road. So I thought, well, I'll just do something different.
Yeah. I find if I don't write down what you say for the colors, I miss it.
That's okay.
A good hint for everybody, write it down what he's saying.
Well, we'll be able to go back and listen to it again, right? How soon will it be?
Tomorrow by noontime or something.
Cool. Yeah. I'm totally lost when it comes to color names. So I'm definitely going to go back to that.
Yeah. And Josh, some people have written the colors right on the palette or on a piece of tape above the palette.
Okay.
And then when I say cerulean, you look and
Okay.
right. When you're new at it, you don't cerulean and ultramarine. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding, just the mixing of colors is,
Yeah.
the challenge, just getting to know the terms.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're keeping, this is a fairly simple palette, 2, 4, 6, about eight colors I'm using. And believe me, if you go into any art store, you're going to find, 13 different blues. And, oh my gosh.
You're gonna walk in, you're gonna see the
Yeah.
colors are gone. 'Cause everybody
Yeah.
does it.
And then
If you're talking about Michael's down in Brewster, the place gets pinked every year.
yeah, and the more colors you have, the harder it is to know what each color does.
Yeah, I bought the original 8 or 10 that you had said in the tubes, and then my mother sent me this.
No,
And they're teeny tubes, so the lettering is just really small.
yeah. Yeah, and sometimes those colors, Josh, if you have a particular a floral still life, there's a particular color that is just like a coral color or a different kind of red. You'll find it in those tubes. Okay, I'm ready to dip back in.
Okay.
I'm going to save the mountains. I'm going to do the mid-level trees above the road and behind the farmhouse. And maybe I'll fuss around a little bit with the wood pile. Before I do that, okay, so everyone's looking up. A little trick coming here. I kind of lost there's a little bit of road or a driveway here, and I kind of lost it. It doesn't really show up much in the picture either. But I'm going to take a brush. I call this a flat brush, and I'm just going to pull this along, like just drawing with water. And you'll see that I'm able to take out some. And now you can see that line there, which creates a little bit more of a driveway. And down here, maybe I want to get rid of that. The green kind of seeped into the pink. If I want to get it back to a lighter tone, I'll just rubbing it with this. And if some areas of your trees have creeped into your white house, just take the brush and wipe it down, and you can erase. This is what the stiffer flat brush will do. All right. I'm going to take I haven't been paying attention to talking about my brushes. I'm using I think it's number 12 or something round. I'm going to do the areas to the right and left edges of the scene. Now this is tricky. I've decided that my mountain is going to be fairly dark, and so these trees have to be darker than the grass, but not real dark, because I know I'm going to come back with something else later. So I got to it's going to be one of those in between things. Okay, to the left of the. Okay, what am I going to use here? Okay, I'm going to use a little Aureolin. I'm sort of thinking as I go. I'm kind of looking at, okay, a little bit of cerulean. That looks too bright. I'm going to add a little bit of raw sienna into it just to kind of dirty it up. Okay, here we go. Here's this. I'm gonna paint around this little car. I want to keep the edge of the road pretty stiff, sharp. There we go. Oh boy. You know, at the tops, it's kind of reddish or yellowish. Come on. And then other parts seem a little bit more bluey green. Okay, there we go. You know, I'm really not making these look like trees. It's just a camel here. All right. And then over here, I'm going to use a different green. I'm going to use a new Gambos. I don't know. I guess I just feel like trying something different. And an ultramarine blue, which gives a different kind of yellow. Notice I'm not using any greens. I'm mixing, every time I mix, I use one of my yellows and then one of my blues. Okay, let's, okay, here's this pasture up here. And I have the pasture, I've adjusted the line so it hits the middle of this shed roof. I didn't want to have it hit the corner because that's very awkward. The coincidence is too much. Is it lighter or darker down below? Oh, I think it's lighter. So I'm going to use my Aureolin. This is going to be that pasture. You can imagine cows in it. Keep my sharp edge here. And again, this edge, I'm coming down. I'm not going right to the corner of the building. I've raised that line up just a little bit. So the corner of the building goes below it. Okay, now I want to put a little bit of ultramarine blue up in here because I want to look like I want this sunlit pasture here, and then I want some trees on the side of a hill. Come on, let's get one blue in here. There we go. That's getting it darker, right? Whew. But it always dries lighter. Okay, good. I like that. Okay, now over here, I've got let me get a raw sin up in here. Okay, I'm seeing these greens as being a little bit darker. And so I'm making this edge kind of raggedy. I want that orange to jump out, so I'm going to put some darkish green down there. Come on, sheepers. Mopping it. Okay, now there's some evergreens there. I kind of like them because they're good and dark. I'm going to use raw sienna and some ultramarine, and these are going to be pretty darn dark. Okay. Okay, I guess I'll give you guys a chance to paint and get those two sections of mid-tone, mid-level greens in and create the light and dark contrasts. There we go. Okay. We'll pause there. At some point, we're gonna have to tackle this wood pile, so that may be the next step after we get in some of those greens.
Hey, Ned, next week, can you send your picture around, your drawing around just as a drawing, not as a video? Because it would be very helpful.
Oh, I forgot. Yes. Okay, I will. I remember you suggested that last year. I'll do that.
Ned, what did you use to make the dark green trees towards the right?
That was raw sienna and ultramarine blue. It's it's the dark yellow and then the darkest blue, so that gets a pretty strong color. Okay, we are. I'm going to do the wood pile. Some people didn't put the wood pile in, and that's fine. In which case, you got a break right now. You've got some free time. Go out, recess. I'm going to do the wood pile, and then I'm going to do the mountains. And the mountains are going to be pretty important. The last half hour, the dessert will be putting in some of the details on the house. We've pretty well locked it in with colors around it. And now we just have to put a few things, the details inside. That's really just, like I say, that's like dessert. That's the easy and fun part. All right, I'm gonna go into this wood pile here. Ooh, well, and I can't look at the photograph because I don't have it there. Okay, a little bit of, okay. Now, I'll tell you, I've been stacking wood, so I know that, at least the way I stack it, some logs are horizontal and some are on their ends. So I'm going to paint in the dark holes. Now, what am I going to use? I got ultramarine blue. Maybe I'll use this burnt sienna. I don't like that color very much, but I'm going to try. Okay, so I'm just moving a little bit of color in between some of these logs. Come on. I don't want to paint it twice, so I want to make sure I get it dark enough the first time. I don't really feel like doing this thing twice. Come on, blue. There we go. Oh, boy. Come on. Okay, some of the butt ends of logs are square, some are triangular shaped. Oh, boy. I've got a couple of these leaners leaning in here and putting them on there. Get a little bit more brown into that. That comes across. And the whole thing is sitting on a pallet. So I got these long flat lines where the pallets are. Some of these are looking too bright, so I'm just putting a few diagonal lines across there. I just don't want these things to be too bright. I don't. And I want it to look raggedy. Okay, there's that. All right. Pay attention. I'm going to do a little tricky thing here. I went right through that sign. Actually, I kind of didn't like the sign the way I drew it because it was pointing this way and I want my eye to go this way. So I'm going to try something kind of crazy. Watch me. I'm going to take this flat brush. Maybe I should draw something in here. I'm going to make a sandwich board. A sandwich board sign as though it's.
We're also moving the maple syrup sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm bagging out that maple syrup sign. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to, oops. I'm just going to lift. I'm going to lift this out. I'm going to take away that green or that yellow color. I still have some lines in there. I'm not going to worry about them right now. I'm gonna create a white sign down here, white face sign, and I will put in some details in a second. But I wanted to lift it out and let it dry. We ready for the mountains? Okay. Here we go with the mountains. I'm going to use some alizarin crimson, some ultramarine. It gives me a good purpley shadow, and use a cerulean blue. So I've got this little mountain in the background that comes down. So one stroke, I'll get that baby in. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my alizarin. Don't you see some reddish colors because it's a fall scene? So, but this has to be darker than what I just put in. Blue, red, maybe I get a little bit of the. Oh, this is a big, one of the biggest brushes I have. It's a squirrel, Isabay, something. Here we go, up the side of the mountain there. Now I'm gonna get a little bit of yellow color in here, boom. Now I'm gonna dance around the edges of these trees to create raggedy edges at the edge of the tree, and I don't want to hit that roof. There we go. Around the roof, boom. Okay. Around that tree. Come on. Now, let's get that red again. Let's get that blue. There we go. Up, around, up here, down. Now I'm going to get in some blue because this is the shadow side. So I'm going to swing that down like this. Now, get this, give myself a little bit of. If you're looking on the, you see how dark this looks, but it really has, it's got some alizarin crimson and some ultramarine, and they are both transparent colors. Oh, let's go with that red. Boom, boom. And then I got some blue and yellow. And sometimes I'm just mixing the color on my paper. Come on, yellow, boom, 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 side of the mountain. A little bit of blue, this is the face there. A little bit in shadow in the face of this mountain. And now I'm pulling this stuff down. Let's get that alizarin crimson going here. Going right, I don't want to leave white spaces around my orange tree. I mean, I've got to go right up and even into the orange tree by a little bit to create that raggedy edge. Now I got to be careful. Now this is dark. This used to be the darkest color I had on here was this green. Now this color is a little bit darker. Again, I don't want to leave little white holes, so I'm going right down, even overlapping the green in some area. A lot of ultramarine blue in this. Okay, so I think dot, dot, dot. And then a little bit of a distant mountain here. And there we go. So that once you knock in that mountain, oh man, looks nice, huh? Parts of the mountain might have some evergreen trees. I'm putting a few little pointy things in there. Okay, remember the sun is coming from the right. So parts of your mountain is going to be hit, it'll have that pinky color, pinky purple from the right. And then the left-hand sides of these little peaks will be a little bluer, a little darker. All right, I think, well, that'll give you enough to do. Wood pile and mountains. And now I'm ready for a real good replace the water. Good. This is great. That's the line there. Very nice. If you take a brush, get a clean brush, clean water, and this would actually take it up a little bit.
I'm feeling with the log pile, if at first you don't succeed, maybe it really was a slave quarry. Yeah.
Okay, let's zero in on the house, the roof.
$35 for a gallon of maple syrup.
That's a pretty good price.
That's a pretty good price.
Damn. No kidding. I just put in my little sign down here. I put a little darker green down here around the
So you don't re-wet that when you go back in.
No, I didn't. Yes, yeah. Okay, we ready? I'm gonna start, we're gonna do the roof of the house, some shadows, windows. Oh, boy. All right, so the roof of the house, is it lighter or darker than the mountains? Look at the back edge here in your photograph, right where this L, it lighter or darker? Darker, yep. Yep, so you thought the mountain was dark, now we're getting into this. Roof, I'm going to use ultramarine blue. Let's see how I do. Is that lighter or darker? Oh boy, I didn't want to do that. Nope, it's got to be darker. I'm gonna go.
You're usually a stranger, but what do you do?
I put a little bit of the alizarin crimson, the reddish color. But I got to go back with more blue. Well, I gotta get that cup, that corner to be dark. There we go. Oh boy. Okay. There's that little shed roof back there. I'm going to do the roof. The roof here has a very light side right there. And then it's darker. That dark edge right up to there. Across here. Okay, then there's a dark side on the side of the, what do you call it, the dormer. Wow. Okay, now. I see what's wrong. Okay, now I have a little bit of a shadow side under the eave here, but I'm leaving that white piece of detail, a little bit there, a little bit underneath this one. We go. I don't have a dormer up here, so I don't have to worry about that damn thing. Okay, I've got this dark roof here. There's that. Okay, now what? This back area here is darker because it's in shadow than the side of than the shadow side of the house. So I'm just going to paint a wash of kind of a bluish. I want to keep this edge. And I'm painting over that whole damn thing. I'm going to go back in there, so I don't want to add too much water to it. I'm going to do a little bit of a little hint of a chimney up here. Okay, now we're going to do all the shadow things. I have a little bit of a shadow coming down underneath the roof here. It's also pretty dark. I'm going to put a reddish. So there's a line right here at the foundation that's kind of interesting. It's got some bushes in it. I'm going to put this, can be that line there. I've made it red just to make it stand out a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of dark green underneath it. I'm going to take that dark green right through here. Again, this is the shadow that the house makes onto the lawn. There we go, right? Well, I've got this slight shadow color. I'm going to run it along here because this is that little driveway. Take. This looks too bright up here, so I'm gonna just take that down a little bit. I'm putting some clean water on there just to soften the line. Okay, now finish with the windows. We're not gonna finish. Okay. I'm using a round brush. I'm making a little square. And then I'm making a little square underneath it. Sometimes I'll use red in there. I'm going to pretend there's a shade in this window, so it's going to be a kind of a yellowy color. You know how those shades are. You know how those shades are. And get another yellowy one here. Trying to square up those edges a little bit. Okay, does that look like? This looks like eyes on a house, eyes on a face. Okay, little bit of little dark up here. Maybe there are two windows up there. I got a window. I've got a doorway down there, so I've made that little bit of something. Okay, now back over to here. Put a window in there, window in there. And put a door, the back porch door here. Now I've got another roof. All right, now just about done. This roof makes a shadow onto the lower roof, so I'm going to put a line there. And this roof is definitely darker, so I'm going to indicate that there. And underneath this, this little porch here, it's definitely darker. So ooh, that gets a little dicey there. Okay. Oh, I know. This little thing, it's gonna have a little shadow. I still haven't done my car. Do I have to do that? Trish, I'm touching up around my trees just the dark sides to make the sides nearer to the light, a little bit lighter. All right. And smaller. All right, a little bit of shadow around the car. I left the roof of the car white. I left a little bit of the headlights white. I just sort of painted around those, if you can believe it. And just have to put the yellow stripes in the road and I'm done. It's orange.
If you need it black, it's all over your sponge.
Right. This I could ruin it right here. Oil pool. There we go. Oh, and I plus with the wood pile. Anybody got lunch reservations at exactly 12? You go.
I have to go back to work.
Oh yeah. Where do you work, Trish?
For Jacob.
Oh, they give you Mondays off now today?
Well, I'm supposed to be cutting back my hours.
Uh-huh.
And start babysitting my new granddaughter.
Oh,
I
nice.
was supposed to start in January,
And is it your daughter is building that house on
but yes, I
down
have
by?
two daughters working houses.
Oh, really?
That's one, and the other one's building in Union.
Uh-huh. Well, the modular one down by Lakeside, they did a lot of work, and then right now it doesn't seem like much is happening. Okay.
I'm always like, where is it?
The modular one by Lakeside?
Grandview, the corner of Grandview and And Lakeside.
Yeah. I thought that was a renovation.
it's a nice.
Or is that a brand new?
It's brand new. It's a nice. Sure, that's a nice building.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I think it's in nice shape and everything else. They're gonna put a deck on the south side, I guess.
I mean, she's now working on a budget, so that hopefully they'll stay and be able to do something. Yeah, like just a little steps from off the back. It's front porch is nice.
And who owned the property before?
Well, it's that blue house originally, moved levy, and then he subdivided, and my brother-in-law Vito bought the property. And then, yeah, and then he had it for a number of years. He got the board house approval and everything.
Mhm.
And then when my daughter was wanting to move up from Terrytown, brother-in-law, her uncle was like, no, buy the slot.
Yeah, great.
So she bought it from him. Hardwood floor is supposed to be going in today.
It was all right. Okay.
Hey, Ned, this is a couple years ago, but I saw a house in Arlington that had an attached indoor tennis court. We were gonna move up. Do you know that house?
Wait a minute. In Arlington, Vermont,
Yeah,
attached indoor tennis court.
yeah. It was a house, and then behind it was a full indoor tennis court.
Well, they haven't invited me over. I don't know. Wow.
I thought that'd be pretty cool.
Sure. All winter long. Great.
Yeah. course, you know, all the rage is now pickleball.
Well, our community is, they're going to put in 2 squash courts in a community center, and they're going to do 4 pickleball courts instead. Yeah, it's certainly the rage.
Yeah, definitely get more use than squash.
Yeah.
That's old school.
That's old school. Nobody but old white males play that anyway. Have you played pickleball?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot actually, because I had some surgeries and can't get around the tennis court like I like, but pickleball's great. It really is.
You know
a
all
good
the
sport.
Good.
Yeah, it's very much a kind of serve and volley kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, while we're wrapping up here, let me tell everybody, when you finish your picture, I don't figure, everybody paints at a different rate. I kind of move pretty quickly because I do this, almost 2 or 3 times a week. And some people read faster than others. Some people add up numbers quicker than others, and some people push a brush around faster. So if you haven't finished, don't feel that you are not doing well. Finish on your own, finish at your own pace. And then if you want, send me a picture before Wednesday at 4:00, and I'll email this to you. And at 5:00, I'll send out we'll do a Zoom critique, and I will run through a slideshow of the paintings you guys have sent in, and we can look at it and say, oh, wow, look how that came out, or, whoa, the trees came out great, or, you could fix this by just doing one little thing. So those that did the critique last year got a lot out of it, but you're not required to do it for sure. So I'll email you and remind you that if you send me the picture, we can do a critique Wednesday at 5:00.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I think we did pretty well. I'm looking around the room here. I can't see what's going on at home, but we got some color. It looks like a fall scene. A nice bright house.